Hello, this is the Random Annoyances Gaming Podcast. I am here with,
I
see, I am here with, fuck it. It's EA time. Everyone likes EA time, because who wouldn't like EA time? We get to bash on EA and they get to be the whipping boys. Um,
Wait, we're not doing Whipping Boy on Diablo 3 this time?
later, later.
Blizzard gets
E-
a buy.
EA Sports. It's in the news all this week.
Yeah, because this says just with how long this has gone on and all the problems, this is easily the worst launch of any game ever. The problems being people who can get into the game are experiencing lag and their save games are being corrupted, or you just have to roll back your world. Some people have to wade through long queues just to get onto the server to play their single player game. And if you have a pre order copy of the game, you get to the front of the line in the queue and you get booted off the launcher. So, similar to the Diablo 3 problems, but only if you take those and multiply them by about 100. Um, and this seems to have all started through the idea that players wanted to be able to preload the game in advance. They were asking for the ability months in advance, even up to a year ago. They were asking for it, and the entire time EA said, "No, don't worry, our servers will be able to handle the stress." They get a consolation prize of a punch in the face for this because it makes no goddamn sense. Why do you mess up this badly? How can you mess up this badly? And if you're having problems, don't worry. Just call EA customer support and wait for 14 hours. And
Because you're
that,
in queue with about everybody else. So you're probably like the 1 millionth customer to call. So here you go, guys. Here's you some free freaking music to listen to as you wait.
better be some good music.
But hey, since you are the 1 millionth customer, you get a free dog that's exclusive to your version whenever you can get on.
The dog just wanders around from area to area.
Immediately, the dog gets squished by the monster that invades the city.
But yeah, so that's what's going on. It's a mess. But gladly, Amazon did something about it. They were getting a lot of requests for refunds and people giving the game 1-star reviews, which I think is fair. If you can't play the game, you should give it a bad review. That is, if you bought the game and can't play it, you should give it a bad review. Um, they have put it back up now. They pulled it temporarily. It's back up. And they have a large note for you to read about the problem with the server. So, good job, Amazon. Thumbs up. Um, and to give EA some credit, because people have been bashing on them for this, and I think it's a bit unwarranted. There have been screenshots out of someone talking to customer support and uh, talking about trying to get a refund, and the person was telling them to go read the refund policy and yada yada. So they threatened to do a chargeback on their bank, in which case they were told their account would be banned. Which, giving credit to EA, that is part of their customer service. If you charge back, that they will ban you for it because that is fraud. Um, and apparently the tweet that the EA marketing team had put out about issuing refunds was in error, and they have changed the tweet to just a link to their refund policy. So, and they are seemingly giving refunds on the box top copies of the game, though not the digital copies. And in a form of appeasement, on the 18th, in 8 days, you will get a free PC game, though they haven't said which one. I don't know if you get to choose it or what, but they're giving you something free for your pain. And now to the shittiness. They are making changes to the game currently. They have removed the leaderboards and achievements and the cheetah mode, which, if you haven't played SimCity in the past, it's the fast mode. Like, if you're running on slow or normal mode, then everything obviously goes slow or kind of less slow. Cheetah mode is the desired mode of playing the game because it's a speedier process, and really you can get everything you need done on cheetah mode. But they've removed it because their servers can't take the hassle.
When they said, "Hey, our servers can handle it," but
No.
It's the
Exactly.
thing that the reason why when you buy a digital copy of a game, they have that option to preload is to try to, even if you think your servers are going to be able to handle it, you should be able to preload the game and have that option just in case your servers won't be able to handle it. That's something that they should have considered, because it's like, okay, look at how many pre-orders we have. That's just how many pre-orders we have. If you look all across the board, okay, now how many people are going to buy it the first day not having pre-purchased it, because we have this wonderful thing called live streaming now on the internet, and they see it and they go, wow, it is a better improvement from the last SimCity. I'm going to go get it. And they go out and buy it.
Yeah, you need to look at use pre-orders as a gauge. Assume for every pre-order you get, assume one person is going to go out and buy a copy. So take your pre-orders, times it by 2 or 3, and make sure that many people can get on your game. And it's also another note of, this is why we don't do always on DRM, because all of these people have bought your game. They are now angry because they can't play it. And a lot of them, it's SimCity. They want to play it single player. So just let them offline. And they have stated that they do not want to remove the always on, but it is possibly on the table if it means making the game playable.
It should have been part of the game process to begin with. I mean, a lot of games that a lot of people play multiplayer anyway. Like, for example, for me, Minecraft is a big multiplayer experience. But you know what? If things are going wrong with my internet, I can play single player. I mean,
Also-
you can do this with almost any other sort of game. Why in the world would you want always on? This is a big problem I had with Diablo 3.
speaking of Diablo 3, this came out around the same time. SimCity came out around the same time this year, that Diablo 3 did last year, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Roughly around. You would think, if you've got 2 brain cells in your head that fucking rub together, you would think, after seeing the debacle that happened with Diablo 3, you'd think, let's not repeat that process. I want to know who was in that meeting room that didn't stand up and say, hey guys, remember when this happened with Diablo 3? Why didn't anybody speak up? I mean, come on. It's not that hard to avoid.
And here's the other thing. We talked about this right before we started the podcast. There was a few people, at least one that we know of for sure, but I'm sure there's plenty of people who have done this as a joke to give you an idea of, this is my review, a minute or 2 long video where it shows you trying to connect to a server and then a blank screen because you can't connect to a server, or you connect but it doesn't load. Which it makes it hard for you to get good publicity at this point. Like, when a game first comes out, that is the best publicity you're going to get because the hype is still around it. And
That's what
if
I
you
think
don't have
this them giving out that free game and them talking about possibly removing the always on DRM is for publicity. I don't think they actually plan on removing the always on. They're just saying, oh, if it would make you feel better, we'll consider it, to kind of make people lighten up, because they don't really care about people playing the game. They want people buying the game, because it's coming to the point where their sales figures are going to come up, and that will show whether they did good in the first quarter. That's what they care about. And that's why they're not issuing refunds where possible. That's why they're trying to fix things up, but obviously they're in no hurry to do so. because
And at this rate,
Mhm.
go ahead. No, go
because
ahead.
as we've seen, people can get on and play, so you are seeing some gameplay, just not a lot of it.
Okay, see, this whole sales thing that's coming up, while this may go towards it and it may put it in the quote unquote good, I want to say quote unquote good because I don't necessarily seeing this being a good thing in the longest run. But I just, I'm still just baffled how you can see a previous misstep in the freaking gaming industry and not learn from it.
Well, actually, I see it even one step further because always on DRM has this huge stigma against it, and this is only going to push it further because if you're trying to push this idea to keep your games protected, why wouldn't you try and make this the best launch ever? Why wouldn't you try to make sure that nothing went wrong? Because now people are going to, in the future, when you see a game that says, oh, it's going to be always online, people are going to point back at SimCity and go, if you're going to do that, I'm not going to buy it.
You're going to point back because, I mean, digital is being pushed big time with the new consoles. People are going to look back and they're going to point and they're going to go, Diablo 3 and now SimCity. We do not want that same debacle. We want physical copies of the game. So you do your damnedest to print us a freaking physical copy of the game. Otherwise, your game doesn't get bought. You know, you're going to have some people who do that. Others are going to be like, yeah, they can't always be like EA and Blizzard with the, you know, debacles that were both, of course, Diablo 3 and SimCity. So what do you do then? Do you try to still keep trying to push this DRM always on sort of thing?
You
Or
actually
do
brought up a
you-
good point. That is one of the reasons, thing to think about. Why were there even physical copies of this game? Because a physical copy of a PC game is for people who cannot connect to the internet to install it. So if you're going to have an always-on system anyway, why even provide a physical copy? Because if you pick up a physical copy of the game, all it is the launcher required to connect to the system and then download the game. So the game is not on the disc.
all right, where's the gun? Because it's freaking essentially going in my mouth. I'm going because that
Okay.
is just mind-blowingly stupid.
Let me read you something real quick. I was looking at the reviews on Amazon and I'll tell you right now, like 5 stars, they have 77 ratings. 1-star rating, there's 2,852 people that have given it 1 star. This one guy makes a point about a game like this. So he goes, at one point, he's like, further, you're not getting the whole game for your $60 or $80, depending on which bundle you get, depending on which version. EA's plan is to sell you SimCity 5 over and over and over. They've directly admitted that they already have it running with larger cities, which, by the way, the cities are limited in size because they're making it force you to play multiplayer in a sense. But they're not releasing that now. They claim it's because it won't run on Dad's PC, but the real reason is so they can sell it to you again later. Want subways? That's going to be $20. Want railroads? Another $20. Bigger cities? Oh, that's in the $30 expansion. So,
Head desk.
Exactly.
So
It's what with SimCity. What they wanted to do is they wanted to set up a platform for you to expand upon. SimCity would be the basic platform, and then exactly if you want these other things, you can buy into them. A lot of you see a lot of free-to-play games do that with their microtransactions, like Tribes Ascend. You buy the game, and if you want more guns, you can either really work towards them, which it would be nice if SimCity let you do that. Let's say you built one really awesome city that obviously with the small space they allow you in the core game, you can't actually make it self-sufficient. But let's say you make it within a certain range, then they unlock the ability to make a larger city. Like make it something difficult, but that would make someone want to pay to bypass it, but that would still be doable for free. Because, as mentioned, you are paying full price for this game. So it is kind of a kick in the teeth to then start nickeling. Well, not that $20, $30. That's not even nickeling and diming. That's just ripping your wallet right out of your hands.
And here's the other thing to point out. The same person points out later, right now, if you look at The Sims 3, the game costs $30. But if you buy all the DLC for it, it is $470 in total before tax. So the speculation he's pointing out is that this new Sim City, they're going to go the same route with adding all these additional things that you would normally expect to be in the game. And you have to pay for them later. Like, I play Sims 3. I just have the basic game. I want the packs, but I'm going to wait until the Steam sale this summer when they're going to be dirt freaking cheap.
That's one of the big things
And-
about this trend in PC gaming is it really forces you to become a bargain shopper. You can't be the nice guy and give them all the money they ask you for because you don't have it.
Okay, so Bubba, you had something to say?
I guess this is the big problem I have with the route that EA is going with microtransactions. They fail to see that microtransactions work really well when you're a free to play game.
Or
You
when
know,
they're
that's-
actually micro.
Yeah, but on full scale games, they don't work like this, and EA can't get that through their mind.
Well, I don't
And,
think this is a micro transaction system. I think that, like I said, I think they're trying to build a hub for them to just keep releasing more content for, which is fair if it's cheap and if it doesn't start in a horrible fashion such as this.
This EA, this is why you were voted and got the title of worst company in America.
That, and I'm pretty sure of on top of it, a lot of other things. But also, I mean, this sort of quote-unquote debacle is not the first time that you buy a game and then you get, expensive add-ons. I mean, $30 for an add-on, that's damn expensive. But I mean, if you're going for like, I'm going to throw this out there because this is the best example I can think of right off the top of my head. Call of Duty. You're paying $20 for up to 5 maps, half the time. And the reason I say half the time is because half the time, sometimes it's 5 maps, it might be 4 maps. And you're paying $20 each time. And then the next game comes out, and it's $60 with very few tweaks and turns, only to again have the $20 tacked on for each map set. I mean, come on. I understand you can get a bunch of stupid people with it, but come on.
EA and Activision, man. EA and Activision.
Yep. I want to see them clean this up because, as you mentioned, a lot of the people who voted them as the worst company are butthurt for various reasons. But this right here is a very good reason to be butthurt. Well, let's end this off by bringing up my new note that I found interesting because I'm not sure whether I believe it or not. The chief financial officer of EA stated on their quote about microtransactions being in all their games that the quote was, I don't remember if he said it was either misheard or misgiven, but he said they don't want to have microtransactions, or that they didn't say all games would have microtransactions. He said all games could have microtransactions, which is a big distinction, but I'm not entirely sure what exactly that means on the could part. It's like with Origin, are you just going to set it up so that when you release a game, if you see that it is floundering in sales, are you then going to add microtransactions to it? Because if that's the way they're going, I don't see it being a horrible idea. Like, example is Battlefield 3 currently has a pack. It's a DLC for $50. Now, note you just probably paid. Nah, hell, you probably got it used. You pay $20 for Battlefield 3, Then you pay them $50 and you unlock all of the stuff in multiplayer that people have been working and training their asses off to get, which seems kind of cheap, or on the or rather cheap time wise, I should say, on the person who's playing. But in a game like that, that stuff is necessary, and it hurts people to join in a game late like that and not have access to the better guns, to the better skills or whatever are in the game. So if that's the kind of thing they're going for, this might be a good idea. If they're going to keep going the way as Dead Space, though, or get even worse, because Dead Space 3 wasn't a bad use of microtransactions. It was a redundant use of microtransactions. It could get worse than that. And that's what I'm wondering is, what exactly do they mean? They are being intentionally vague here, so it's hard to know whether to trust them or not.
And then it also begs the question is, have they garnered the respectability, have they garnered the reputation that you do want to trust them? Some companies have that reputation, some companies have that where you're going, okay, I'll trust them. But does EA have that's the question you have to ask.
Nope.
I'm not going to say EA doesn't have that. I'm going to say it's a game by game basis, because with some games they're just not going to build up trustability, whereas with other ones, because like I said, with EA or with Battlefield 3 specifically, that was a good use. Like, sure, you have to pay a lot of extra money to unlock all of that stuff, but if you're willing to part with the money, then you can get right into the fray and compete with the best of them. Not a bad system by any means. It could have been cheaper, and I'm not sure if it is cheaper. I think it's either $50 or $30. I'm not sure, but it's there. And looking at their games, like a list of their games, a good few of I definitely think it is a game by game basis and not particularly EA. But SimCity is probably going to be pushing the buttons for a while now, just anger wise.
I don't blame gamers for being angry. I don't blame them for using this as an example for the always on DRM thing. But there's going to be a company that comes around and it's going to be like, hey, this is how it's supposed to be done. And when it's done the way it's supposed to be done, then I think gamers will start to forgive the always on DRM sort of thing.
Possibly. Not going to say one way or the other because not really sure.
That's what I said. I think.
Yeah. Just tell us what you think. Do you think that always on DRM could get better in the future? Do you think maybe we're going overboard on some of our criticisms of EA? In the comments, leave them. Tell us what you think. We have been the gaming booth. Eddie, take us off.
Peace out, bitches!